Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where it is that you are out there in the world. We are here at noon on the Central Time Zone, and my name's Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com. So excited today to be talking to you guys a little bit about creating a fundamental business. This is a passion topic of mine. I will share it everywhere, anywhere, and with whoever will listen. So I'm excited to see what your guys' thoughts and feedback and comments are. Also, just trying out a different time to just try some new things, right? See if we can get some more people in here live. Sometimes early in the morning's tough, later in the day. So I said, hey, you know what? We will get to figuring it out here. And yes, Betty says, tisk, tisk, the teacher is late. We'll be handing out demerits. Yes, I need my demerit. Chrome decided that it wanted to not play nicely. It wanted to restart. So my bad for not getting things tested early. So, Aaron, it's not coming through the Facebook event. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes and I now see why, right? Well, if we can, I'll put this up there. If somebody could go into those events and share the link to the where it's playing on our page here on the, where Martha's at over there. So I'm going to put that there and see if that gets to people. So that's where you can watch it on Facebook. So I don't know, Tanya, if you have a moment to go share that, I would appreciate it. I just noticed that for some reason, all of the Facebook group things went down. So it's only playing on YouTube and directly at the Facebook event there. So, all right. Challenges abound, but no problem at all. We're going to keep motoring through, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles, so to speak. Hello, Martha. Good to see you. Great to see you out in Atlanta. And Rena, good morning to you. And thanks for the really nice share on your Instagram post today. I appreciate that. So, okay. Well, you know what? I want to get right into this before I create any more trouble for myself or others. I can already see the internet is also struggling a little bit here today. So maybe if my family upstairs could hear this, they might want to turn off all of the streaming that's going on up there and see if that helps. But All right, we're going from there. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to talk today about creating a fundamental business. I actually do have a little bit of a presentation. So there'll be some visuals, some slides up there. In fact, let's go ahead and add those into the stream there so everybody can see it. Now, if you are listening to the podcast version of this, no worries. Jump on over to liveosg.com if you want to check out the visuals, but I will also be explaining everything that is happening. So if you just want to hear the audio version, no problem. You're going to get all the same great content. So today it's all about sharing my thoughts on what a foundation is, what that foundation is that's going to allow us to have a business that we love, as opposed to what a lot of times we end up with, feels like another job or a job, just over broke, right? And when our businesses are another job, we're overwhelmed. It's stressful. Maybe if you sat down and did the math, it might pay less than minimum wage ultimately. So what I want is a business that's rooted in fundamentals, right? And I believe it's essential to have fun while building a business. And so to kind of kick this off, I want to read you guys a short excerpt from my book that I'm this close to finishing, called The Fundamentals of Business Success. You can kind of see it on screen there. That's the mock-up of it. And this little excerpt is why I chose to, as you can see, fun, right? Everybody's like, is that a typo, Aaron? You got all caps there, but it's not. It's intentional. Why fun? Why do we need to have fun in our business? And so let me share that real quick with you guys, and then we'll go there, get into this a little bit more. So here, I'm going to read to you. Principles, guiding values, guardrails, philosophies, beliefs, and standards are excellent. Believe in all of those things, however those look for you. So sorry, that was ad lib. I'll stop ad libbing. Let me. But a fundamental includes the word fun. Think back on all of your most significant memories of when you felt successful. There was an element of fun in it. So I think we can all agree that gaining success, having won, and celebrating achievements are fun. But I believe the flow of that energy is the opposite way. When we have more fun, when we love what we do, that leads to more success. In his book, The Virgin Way, Everything I Know About Leadership, Sir Richard Branson said, fun is one of the most important and underrated ingredients in any successful venture. But fun can be hard to come by, especially in business. It's business, not pleasure, after all. Is it fun to put your nose to the grindstone? Is it serious? It's our livelihood, but can it be fun? Well, George Bernard Shaw said, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. Fun has been significantly proven to create more success, and therefore, I want to make sure that I center this book around fun. Fun reduces stress, and that reduced stress leads to improved memory and concentration. Fun activities also open up our minds and activate the brain's dopamine reward system, stimulating goal-oriented motivation and long-term memory, which is, according to Edutopia, part of the George Lucas Educational Foundation. And the other thing about fun, it inspires action. 99% of the challenges I have faced and 99% of the difficulties I have supported others in overcoming are created by a lack of effort. The challenges occurred because we didn't take enough action. Therefore, there was not enough feedback to learn what we needed to do next. But when we're having fun, we're attracted to the fun. And the only way to have more fun is to take action. Reminding yourself that what you are doing is fun, what you are doing is worthwhile, and what you are doing will lead to your idea of success, will make you happier, and you will do better work. This book aims to create a mindset shift in micro business owners, solopreneurs, and network marketers and gig workers so they can believe in their ability to have success. You will have fun doing, creating, and living when your business, enterprise, or side gig is grown with sound fundamentals. When you take 100% responsibility and own your empowerment, and then add positivity, joy, fun, and your life goals, you are fulfilling what you're meant to do. You live fully and put energy towards your business that brings you value, provides value to the world and the universe. And when you don't have fun doing something, you end up compartmentalizing your life. Many people go back to get a job. Then you end up being unfulfilled by sitting in traffic or coming out of a Zoom call where someone drones on about something you could care less about. Then in your free time, you don't get fulfillment from watching countless hours of mind-numbing Netflix. Sorry, I lost my place. All while scrolling social media and pretending to celebrate your hashtag blessed life. You are not fulfilling what you were meant to do, therefore providing no value and not getting any value in return. Then there's the flip side of the coin, the hustle movement. You work yourself silly, forsaking everything else in your life to become a success. I'm not a fan of the whole hustle thing. We have to find balance in life to be truly successful. And while I know success is about working in the cycles needed to get where you want to go, hustle is not fun to me. The dictionary definition is forcing someone to move hurriedly or unceremoniously in a specific direction. Another definition is a fraud or swindle. To me, hustle is something I do when I'm doing something I have to do but dislike. I want to have passion and that feeling of not working a day in my life. Therefore, I decided the middle ground between mind-numbing, aimless wandering and excessive hustle was fun. The fundamentals are what we all need to put in place as a foundation for our business so we have a fulfilling and successful life. These same fundamentals work in our personal lives, community, family and friends, and even our creative and spiritual life. So, with that being said, thank you, Tanya, by the way. She shared the link on Facebook. Rena says, I always say, don't stop moving, but I think I'll now add, don't stop moving and having fun. I love that. Nice. Let's celebrate that. Celebration is fun, right? I love all of that. All right, well, let's dive into this then. So that gives you kind of the context, the groundwork of why fun and fundamentals are so important to me. And this comes from this feeling that I have. It's a feeling, you call it passion, emotions that I feel, that I know deep down in my core that everyone has the ability to create a business that they love. So it's so interesting to me to see where OSG, our success group, is 3 years after its inception. We didn't really know what we were doing exactly. We didn't, we had an idea and we had a decent framework, but I was just drawn to something. And the more foundational work that I've done in our success group, the more clear this has become. And I've also discovered that the lack of foundation is why small businesses are, confused about the pricing, having a hard time finding the right customers, or maybe they just end up with all their precious time being stolen away from them, and they aren't able to create a business they love. They get that feeling of wanting to just throw their hands up in the air and go get a job. And I have seen it, I've lived it, I've felt it. And when I get to the core of those things, right, I know that it is due to a lack of foundation or spending enough time, effort, or passion working on our business. So the book, Fundamentals of Business Success, has 13 fundamentals in it. And those things have kind of come through translation of the book, The Success Principles, by my mentor, Jack Canfield, first and foremost. Other foundational tools that I've learned and through reading different books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Slight Edge, Take the Stairs, Story Brand, and then just kind of countless mentors from my dad, my mom, lessons that I've learned, mistakes that I've made, experiences that I've been a part of, right? So that to me is what's been attracting me all this time, that core, that foundation. And so interestingly enough, I had somebody reach out to me one time and we were talking about my book, about this book, The Fundamentals of Business Success. And they said, well, what's the number one fundamental that people need? And I was kind of struck by that for a second. I'm like, I don't know about that. That's like picking my favorite child, right? That's like, so I was, man, I didn't answer that. So I kind of jumped my way around that question real quick. But I guess when I did think about it more deeply, if I was forced, basically say if businesses were to spend 15% of their business time working on their business, if they focused on these 3 fundamentals, that they are going to have a business they love before they know it. So those fundamentals are number one, clarifying your reason, right? Some people call this a why or a mission statement. It's kind of the North Star. The second one is be a goal getter. It's kind of defining what the difference is between a goal getter and a goal setter. And then the third one is the numbers game. And even non-numbers people, we can use numbers to build a business that we love. And so I'm going to talk to you about how that works here in just 1 second. I do want to get one more comment in here. So thank you so much, Mo. Hustle, I agree. Always seem too much, in my opinion. Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Mo. It's just like, I get it, right? I understand it. If that can help motivate people to move forward, then I'm all about it. But to me, I'm like, I want to be inspired to move forward, not forced to move forward because I'm not hustling enough, right? I don't want to be made to feel bad, because to me, hustle leads to the next statement, which is fake it till you make it. And you probably can't see it on the tiny little screen, but to me, stop saying fake it till you make it and say instead, believe it until you achieve it. So anyhow, thank you, Mo. Great comment. All right. Well, let's get into those 3 fundamentals here real quick. And not real quick. I want to go as deep as we possibly can. So if you guys have questions along the way, please jump in with those questions. Please share those questions, and we'll cover them. But let's start with clarifying your reason. All right. And as I said, this is the North Star. It's been incredibly amazing to be around people as they uncover their reason, to see how quickly they blossom into a business that they love. And you can call it what you want, a purpose, a why, a mission, a vision. I like to call it a reason because at its core, this is the reason for how everything works. When you're in alignment with this statement and the deep meaning behind it, things go smoother. You're more easily attracted to the right things. The right things are more easily attracted to you. And you never feel like you're quote unquote working anymore, right? Ultimately, your reasons become bigger than your excuses. Now, I don't know, I was thinking about how long I've been, probably my whole life, I've been really kind of trying to uncover or clarify what my reason is, but I've had put the full court press on it in the last 5 years really, but really 3 years, probably 3 to 4 years more, really specifically, to kind of uncover my reason. And I've tried every avenue I could think of. I've been to countless seminars and read books and tried different things. And and honestly, the number one reason that I went to my very first Jack Canfield event called One Day to Greatness was in the description of it, they said that they were going to help you find your purpose, right? And so I've tried a lot of things, and I even got to a point where I kind of felt like I was the oddball. I was the one who did not have a reason. But there were 2 things that ended up kind of unlocking things for me, kind of turning the tide. And the first one was understanding this very clearly. My why, my reason, my purpose, my mission, my vision is mine and mine only. It is not supposed to be about what brings customers in. It's not some great marketing spin. What it is meant to be is something that you can quickly and clearly speak to what your reason is. And ultimately, this reason even goes beyond your business, right? It's your reason for existing, right? The second I stopped trying to make it what I thought someone else wanted to hear and trying to think about how others would take this in, was the very first moment that things started coming together for me. And shortly after getting to that realization, the next thing that I was able to realize once I let go of all of that, right, was that my values and strengths are direct indicators of my why, right? They make up the language or the purpose. And here's the thing, right? Here was the kind of the counterintuitive thought that I had to finally get to is, God, the universe, or whatever your belief is about existence, would not put you here to do something that you're not incredibly good at. Right? And that was a shocker, right? And so think about this for a moment. If everyone just focused on doing what they're incredibly good at, what would our world look like, right? Do we think it would look a little bit different? I do, right? So my belief is God put me on this earth to empower proactive small business owners in developing a winning mindset to nurture essential fundamentals so that they unlock their potential, right? And that just directly speaks to my superpowers. My superpowers are sharing things that could make a significant impact if people tried it out. It's solving problems that allow me to share with people a different way of seeing things so they can look at it differently. And it's being motivated to work hard so that I have the potential to inspire others. So when I'm doing those things, I lose all track of time. I can talk forever. In fact, I'm sure some of you that are tuned in right now may have been stuck with me when I get going, right? I get up on that soapbox and when I look back on that, I kind of go, oh man, I should probably apologize for those people getting stuck. But here's the deal. Don't ever apologize for your reason, right? I can't apologize for that because that's my reason, right? If you felt stuck, then it was up to you to walk away. But I'm not going to stop living in my reason. And so you have to get those two things, right? We have to let go of making it for somebody else. And then you have to go get back to finding what it is that you're really good at, right? As humans, we're really good at finding all the problems and the things we're not good at, right? The threats, but we need to develop that skill of finding what we're good at. What's your superpower? And then just living into that, right? So here's something else to point out as you think about clarifying your reason. I've also been really careful to say uncover or clarify, right? And maybe I've mixed up, but I do try to be pretty intentional about that, to say uncover or clarify, as opposed to find your why, right? As opposed to, find your purpose, right? That was what the statement was in the Jack Canfield thing that led me to it. But I was still stuck after that. I was still trying to find my purpose because deep down, we all have that purpose. It's there. There's no finding it, right? Maybe if it's a game of hide and seek, that's one thing, but you don't have to just make it, right? You're not creating it. Deep down, you have it, right? It's the feeling when things are working. It's the feeling of frustrations or hardships when things are out of alignment with it. That is the purpose. And what happens is we're just not intentional enough to uncover or clarify it into language that we can utilize with our conscious brains. So this process of uncovering the reason is obviously, well, not obviously, I'm going to retract the word obviously there, right? So this process of uncovering your reason is more in depth than what we'll be able to cover here today. And through a ton of trials, tribulations, and getting to work with others, I've found a specific process that really works. Now, I've been able to help several people with this process already, and it just lights me up. So I want more. I want more. So Masters of Success members, you guys know this is part of what you get as a member. So if you're a Masters of Success member that hasn't gone through this with me yet, the Success Action Plan, or what's kind of what I refined down to just a smaller piece of that, reach out to me. If you're an Our Success Group member, there will be in the private members group a discount code for Facebook, on Facebook, for our members, for the Our Success Group members. Now, this process is called Inner Clarity and Outer Success. So if you'll go to coachosg.com, you can get more information. And for those of you that aren't a member yet, no problem. I got you covered too. If this is something you want to work with, I've worked with people that are not members of Our Success Group and had the same kind of success with them. And they were able to move on without becoming a member. I believe that there's something in there for everybody, but that's okay. Right. So if you're not a member yet, it's okay. Go to that link, coachosg.com, and then use the code unstuck. And that's going to save you some stuff. So, let me get to some comments before I move into the next thing here. Jan, thank you for the applause. I love celebrating. Yes. Jan says, amen. It's like in Moana. It will find you if you let it and allow it. Yes. I love it. I guess there's a new live action version of Moana coming out. So I'll have to go. It's so funny how you can find so much depth and useful information inside of Disney films when you really go look for it like that, Jan. I love that. Cool. Tanya says, my why was hard, but super powerful once I nailed it and focused in on it. Yeah, Thank you for sharing that, Tanya. You're definitely a success story that I am so proud to have been a small part in you uncovering that, and just watching you continue to blossom from there has really warmed my heart. So thank you for that opportunity, and I highly suggest Masters of Success. Thank you, Tanya. All right, Betty, your reason or why can also change over time. That's a really good point, Betty. I'm not saying this to argue with you, right? I agree with you. Okay. So let's put that out there. I think the language there is a little bit different though, because it does not change. We gain more clarity into its depth and meaning, right? Because as we go through life, right, our life stages change. And so it's going to mean something a little bit different. And so it changes over time for sure, but it really is still the same as the purpose that you were born with. It just has more depth or meaning in that stage of life that you're in. So again, Betty, not trying to disagree with you. I know we have a lot of fun going back and forth, and if you weren't giving me a hard time, I'd think you were mad at me. So, and vice versa, by the way, that's my personality as well. So, all right. So coachosg.com, check that out. Again, not here to push that, but if you want to go deeper into that, I cannot tell you how powerful that is for folks. All right, so let's get to the second fundamental here, right? The second fundamental is this. It's about goals, right? Many of us are goal setters, right? We have a sales goal, we have desires, we have dreams, we have New Year's resolutions, we have wishes, we have things that we really want and things that we want to achieve, right? But has anybody here ever heard of Quitter's Day? Some of you that have sat in on some of my other presentations have heard of this, but Quitter's Day is the day that they've figured out, that they've done some studies through different apps and things like that, where what is the average time when most people give up on their New Year's resolution? And a New Year's resolution is just a goal that we have for ourselves. I want to lose weight. I want to improve my life, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So what the day that we give up, they've kind of, like I said, the average day that most people in I don't know if it was world or just America, that day is called Quitter's Day. And the day that is, and it was funny because people answer different times. Some people say January 2nd. I'm like, wow, okay, that I see that, right? Some people say like 6 months, 2 weeks into January. It's the second week in January. And so that just tells me that we cannot use sheer willpower, right? We have the best of intentions when we set a New Year's resolution. It's the new year. Everything's, it feels good. 2 weeks in, life smacks us upside the head and we can't do it anymore. So we have to figure out what separates somebody that's a goal setter versus somebody that's a goal getter. And so before we do that though, and I apologize to jump around, but there's such good content to share here that I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. And so Betty says, let's say evolve. I think you just won the award there, Betty, for best explanation of that, right? Evolve. That's a perfect word for it. Thank you. Okay. So back to goals, goal getter versus goal setter. What are the things that set the two apart? And again, remember, we're trying to be the one on the left here, right? So as you look at the screen, and again, I will share these things for those listening to the audio version, the podcast version of this. But what separates a goal getter from a goal setter, first and foremost, is that we are, let me get that clicked, we're very, very specific about what the goal is, right? So a goal getter will be very specific about that. Now, a goal setter is very vague and open about what the goal is. It's a nicety, it's a dream, it's a wish, right? So some of you might have heard of a thing called SMART goals. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. I've heard different uses of that acronym, but it's really complicated. I like simple. I'm a simple person. I want to try to make things as simple as possible, being a problem solver. So Jack Canfield shared this, and I think is super powerful, super simple way to look at how do you become very specific. Two things: how much, exactly how much. And it doesn't always have to be a money goal. It can be anything. How much, how many lives do you want to impact? How many fundraiser stores do you want to set up? How many community members do you want to support, right? Whatever that is, get very specific in that how much. And then secondly, by when. How much and by when. That's what makes a goal something that we can get, right? Because now we've got the framework. We know very specifically what we've got to get to. We know what that North Star is, and we know very specifically when we're going to get to it by, right? If I were to just say, here's my goal, well, as long as that happens at some point, heck, it could happen sometime after we've come back in another life, right? I'm just kidding about that. I'm not getting into that conversation. But the reality is we need to set a very specific date. And the more specific we can be with that date, the better, right? Put a time on it, right? By December 31st, 2025 at 5:13 p.m. Central Time. So that's the first thing. We need to be very specific versus vague and open. The second thing is we have to be very focused. We have to kind of put the blinders on and pick out one goal, right? Goal setters have many, many goals. I'm going to do this. 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 Right? So it's fine to have all these things on a list. I want to build several businesses. I want to, do this, right? I've got lots of different goals on my list, but I've found that when I'm trying to focus on all of them at once, I'm not becoming a goal getter. A goal getter is laser focused, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to work on achieving those other goals, but I am laser focused on one thing at a time when I am a goal getter, right? And what you have to do with that then is if you have this list of goals, right? We all have multiple things we want to do for ourselves, for our businesses, for our communities, for our families, right? And so we need to then take that list and determine which one is the most important to us, right? Not to somebody else, the most important to us. And that could be supporting somebody else, but you have to make that determination, which one is the most important to us, and then take action on that goal. Take as much action as you possibly can, as often as you possibly can. And then once that momentum, you're laser focused in on that. And then once that momentum is fully rolling, right? It's not like, oh, okay, let me give it a push. I'm going to go give another goal a push. I'm going to go get another goal a push, right? You need to get focused in on that to where that momentum is going in such a drastic way that it almost feels like it's moving forward in its own. Then you can focus on the next goal, right? What's the next most important thing on the list, right? And yes, we can move around just a little bit, but if you really want to achieve a goal, focus 100% on it. And then this is a really important point that I want to share. And this might be hard for some of us to take in. I know it was hard for me when I first thought about it and realized this was the truth. We need to focus on our goals, not the goals of others. And this can include significant others, what other people want for us, right? Those are lower priority. I know that's hard to swallow, right? We are people pleasers. We are good people that want to help other people, right? But the reality is those are other people's goals. That doesn't mean you can't support them in that. But if it gets in the way of you focusing as much as you can on your goal, then you've got to have the hard conversation. You've got to figure out how to make that a win-win, right? And I'm going to utilize my wife as an example here because I was putting my goals on her, right? And she was doing everything in her power to help me out. I mean, just bending over backwards for me, still does a ton for me. But the moment that we finally had the conversation where whose goal is this, right? If this is my goal, then you're never going to really be able to fully achieve what you want. And you can't help me until you've figured out what you want for yourself. So it wasn't until that moment that Kylene figured out what her specific goal was for her, right? She wants to have a certain number of people, certain number of yoga sessions. That's her big goal for the year. And so she focuses on that first. And then she can help me with the things that are my goals or things that I think that might be useful for her. But the second she doesn't put her goal first is when things get out of alignment, right? So I know as hard as that may sound, but you've got to do it. You've got to understand what your goal is, right? So we've got to get extremely, extremely focused. All right. The third thing that makes a goal getter versus a goal setter is we've got to have these goals broken down into manageable bites, right? Chunk it down is a term that Jack Canfield uses. Because what most of us do is we set a goal and then all we're seeing is that huge leap. We're just focused on that end result. And that's all we're doing, right? So if anybody here has ever run any long distances, this is going to resonate with you. Or maybe just thinking about the pain of running a long distance, this might resonate with you, right? So a couple times, I think at least twice now, and we have not signed up yet this year. Kylene keeps trying to talk me into it, and I have been a chicken, but we'll see. We run this half marathon here called the Missouri Cowbell, and it's a fantastic race, and it's a lot of fun. And we're not breaking any world land speed records, so it's a nice, enjoyable several hours out there on the roads. But there is at mile, I think it's mile 10, maybe it's at the start of mile 11. I can't remember exactly the where it is. They even say in the description of the race that there is an uphill, a mile long uphill at mile 10 or mile 11, right? And as I've driven by that hill, because I drive by the route several times when I'm doing things out, like going to volleyball practice or things like that. When I drive by it, I look at it and I like, that's not even a hill. You can hardly tell it's a hill as I'm driving by it. But after you've run 10 miles, you get to the bottom of that thing and you look up at it and you're like, why am I now going to climb Mount Everest here? Right? That's what it feels like at the bottom of that hill at mile number 11. And so here's what happens to us with our goals. If we were to, at that point, at the bottom of that hill, just focus on the finish line, right? Something that I can't really truly see quite yet. I know it's out there. That's my ultimate goal, is to finish the race. But if I'm just focused on that, I'm never going to be able to get up that hill. So how do I get up the hill? There's a stop sign about 50 yards up or 25 feet up, right? Wherever I'm at in that current level of energy there. I'm going to make it to that, right? Maybe I've got to crawl to that, but I'm going to get to that stop sign and then I'll reevaluate. Okay. I get to that stop sign. Okay. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm moving. I'm starting to get some momentum going here. All right, let's go to that light post that's a little further up, right? And then to the next light post. And there's somebody else running up there. Let me see if I can catch up to them, right? And the next thing I know, I'm at the top of the hill and I survived. I maybe don't feel awesome, but I survived. I've got momentum. And the rest of the way to the finish line, it's downhill in that particular race. And that's what happens with our goals. When we set those milestones in place, then we get to that. We get to the next one, we evaluate, we figure it out. What's the next step we could take? And we just keep doing that, right? So we have to break down our goals into those milestones instead of always just focusing on the huge leaps, which your goals need to be huge leaps, but don't focus on that once you start getting into taking action on it. And then the last thing here with goal getting is we need to share it with others. Right? Goal setters just keep it hidden. They're afraid that, if people know, that they'll be found out as a fraud. They'll, for whatever reason, it's too big, it's too small. All the fears show up as to why I won't share my goals. Right? I mean, I'm a great example of this. Right? There are many times where I knew that getting this book to the finish line was going to be a major challenge. Because of the squirrel and everything like that. Right? And because I've already missed deadlines along the way. Right? Because my current deadline that I put out there as my goal is the end of April. So those of you catching the podcast version, today is May 6th. So I'm now 6 days late with what my goal was, right? At the end of the day, though, do the people that really matter to me care that much, right? They're going to help hold me accountable. They're going, how'd your book writing go today, Aaron? Okay. Yep. You're right. That's my goal. I got to get back to it. Right. So we need to share it with others. The more you can share your goal with others, the more often you're going to get the help and support that you need, right? And here's what I know. The world will conspire for you when you clearly know what you want. This is our human nature. It's how we got to the top of the food chain, because as humans, we are not stronger, we're not faster. And even though we think that we're smarter, science has proven that we're not the smartest species on the planet. Here's how we got to the top of the food chain. We have the ability through our language to collaborate and support each other outside of our direct family lineage, right? We can work together with other humans we hardly know to achieve great things when we're clear. So back to my comment about what the world might look like if everyone was doing what they are incredibly good at doing. What does that world look like, right? As humans, at our core, that is what we want. So unconsciously, we support those going for their goal when we know that it aligns with their reason, because that's how, as humans, we got to where we are, right? And so we need to utilize those things to become a goal getter, not just a goal setter. All right. So that's the second fundamental I wanted to cover today. The third fundamental here is the numbers game. And here's what I know. You do not have to be a numbers person to love the numbers in your business. At our success group, we focus on 3 key areas of numbers, and we utilize those 3 key areas as a way to manage our business. And then if we're not really a numbers person, right, we're not in accounting, we don't love doing the accounting, then we leave the accounting to the people that love doing accounting. But what we focus on are these 3 things. And you can build a business you love if you'll focus on these 3 things as well, because then the finance part is easier and the time part is easier. So I've jumped ahead, but here we go. So the first number that we need to focus on is you need to determine your overhead. What's your overhead rate? How much does it cost you to be in business each and every day? And having that information as clearly as we can, right? It doesn't have to be exactly right. And this is the other difference in the numbers game for people that don't necessarily love numbers. And what we're talking about here is we at least have to be focused on it, right? We at least have to be working on it. It does not have to be exactly right. When we have this overhead rate, we build that in our success group just as a guardrail to keep us from bad things happening, right? A lot of businesses are in the process of going out of business and they just don't know it yet. Right? And you might be one of those businesses, but if you don't know what your overhead is, you'll never actually be able to know that. You're just going to get to a point where you can't sustain paying the bills any longer, because every time you've sold a job, you've lost money on it and you just didn't know it, right? So you have to determine your overhead rate. The second thing is we have to set up a pricing strategy that's going to work for you, right? Call it pricing for profit. You have to have a price that works for you, not basing your price on suggested list price, what other people would sell it for, some magic 3x number or whatever. You need a pricing strategy that's going to work with who your ideal customers are, what they're willing to pay, and then what your overhead rate tells you you need to make to be successful, right? That's the pricing strategy. So focusing on determining your overhead and pricing for profit is going to allow you to have a business that you love. The rest of the financial stuff, the rest of the numbers things, yes, they can be very important to have profit and loss statement and run all these numbers and blah, 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 blah. The things that you'll see in a traditional business plan. But like I said, you could maybe leave that to somebody else. If you focused on these things, you're going to be well ahead of those other folks that are just on their way to going out of business and they don't even know it yet, right? And then here's the third number that is really important for us. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So we have to utilize this precious resource called time and go from having a time management strategy into having a priority management strategy. I put the little Optimist time thing up there. That was a moniker given to me. I think Todd was probably the first one that said it, because I am a time optimist, right? Oh, I've got 5 minutes. I can do 7 other things. Oh, I can make these quick changes and show up and then end up being 3 minutes late to Small Business Saturdays, right? I'm a time optimist. So I have to understand that and then figure out how to prioritize the things that are important to me. So those are the 3 numbers games things that I have there. Those are also the 3 main core fundamentals that I think are really important, because those 3 are definitely very important. I'd say all 13 of these are critical to a business, but those 3 are required, right? And so to me, the fundamentals here, this is a continuous cycle, right? We've got that first stage, which is the plant section. It's all about kind of developing and improving the mindset that's required to be a successful business. The second part is about developing a bit of a plan. It's you might have heard it if you've read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Dr. Covey calls it the first creation, the thing that happens in our brain. I want to take that out and get out of my brain and get it onto something that I can utilize and use. But it's that first creation, and it's kind of developing a little bit of a plan before we take action. But it is not to inhibit you from take action. It's to help you take more productive action. And then that's that final stage. We have to get out there and take action. The pollinate section is where kind of the rubber meets the roads, right? The worker bee in you goes out there and pollinates the flowers. And so how do we do more of the productive things at the right time? And the great part is, okay, would you do that? We've taken that action. See, we've got to crave feedback. We're going to use that feedback to then go back. Okay, let's make sure that we are really, truly taking 100% responsibility for our success. Maybe our reason has evolved a little bit, like Betty shared there, right? We have to make sure that we reignite the self-trust. We have an inner coach, not an inner critic. Then we plan again, just review our plan, right? This next time around, it might not be so challenging because you've already laid a lot of this. And so it's just more of a review and getting a little more depth. We take action again, and so on and so forth. So that is, to me, how we build a fundamental business. What are you guys' thoughts? What are the questions? What are the comments? I have put this out there, and I've done an okay job of creating a list. So I'm going to do this. If you would like to get a digital copy of the full version of this book when it is available super soon, I'm not going to put a new date on it right now, because I'm on the downhill slide. So we're going to just figure out how we're going to make this happen. So whenever that is, with relatively short future. And again, the live version of this is happening May 6th. The podcast version will be a while later. So it'll definitely be out there by then. Go to this link right there, consultaaron.com, or if you are watching the video version, you can just scan that QR code on your phone and get in there and tell me you want a copy of the book. Just share your email address in there, or just share you want a copy, and I'll share it back through that communication tool right there. And I will put you on a list. I've got several of you already on the list, but just in case, if you're not sure, then take the action and do it for me. So just go there. That's it. And then I will send you the book. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Again, as I said, I could talk about this stuff forever. I go and go and go. What is it that you guys have questions about? What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? Where do you want to go back to and cover a little more deeply? Or are you just ready to go back and get the rest of your Saturday back here? So I will leave that up to you guys that are tuned in live right now. I'll leave this up on screen just in case anybody has questions. If you're not a member, how we support people as an Our Success Group member. But that's kind of what I got for you guys today. So how'd I do? What comments you got out there? I know it takes just a moment for everything to catch up when I'm talking and when you're actually hearing it on the other side. So I will wait a moment. Again, going back to all of the comments that you guys shared. Rena, I love this comment again. I always say, don't stop moving, but I think I'll now add, don't stop moving and having fun. Mo, agree with you here. Hustle, I agree. Always seems to be too much in my opinion. My opinion too, Mo. And then Jan, thank you. Amen. It's like in Moana, it will find you if you let it and allow it. And yeah, and Tanya about her why. It was hard, but super powerful. Yep. And I guess if I can just jump off of that comment real quick, Tanya, my why was hard, right? Here's the other thing that I've discovered throughout the process of trying to figure all this stuff myself is that the process itself, if we kind of step back from it and look at it, is extremely simple. It doesn't require a whole lot of, it is really, really simple, but it's also hard, right? It's simple, but not easy is kind of the saying out there. And that's the truth about this fundamental stuff. It's very simple, but it's not easy. It requires us going inside, getting a little deep, going maybe occasionally to some yucky places, or just, in our busy world, to carve out time to just go, okay, I've got to get with me and figure out who I am, what my reason is. That's hard. So I'm super proud of you again, Tanya, for what you've done, and you've done amazing stuff, and just being able to recently help you with some of that stuff. It's even more incredible what you're doing. So great job. All right. I'm not picking on you today, Aaron. I'm being good. You are so good, Betty. Thank you so much. You can't pick on me though. It's okay. I will survive. All right. Absolutely. It was hard because I didn't want to focus on me. Yep. That's super powerful for sure, because your second comment here is 100% the reason, but I can't help others without focusing on me. Right. And the cliche that we use is you can't give from an empty cup. But the reality is, if you're not focused on you, you're not giving your best self, right? You're not giving what you can give, what other people might need. So really appreciate that. Jan says, I love the ideas and the action of taking a step back when starting a new business and reimagining the current one. I like that. I love that for sure. Great comment, Jan. Thank you. All right, what do I got going on over here? Awesome. All right, cool. Jan says, the old rules and playbook doesn't work as well anymore. Yeah, for sure. And, I guess the other thing I would say to that, Jan, is even if they do work a little bit, man, that's just, I don't know. It's not appealing to me, I guess, is the way I would look at it too. Right. Yeah, I could go in and do traditional, let me get my suit and tie on, and I want to have some fun, right? I want to enjoy this. I don't want to feel like I'm working every day. I don't want to clock in and clock out. I want it to be part of my life. I want it to be part of who I am. And that could be anything, right? That could be making this thing, right? If I'm just passionate and love doing that every day, right? I could be selling widgets. That's totally cool too, as long as I focus on why I'm doing it. What's my superpower that I can share with the world? So I love it. Thank you, Jan. Moses, focus on me. That's been an issue for me. I've felt guilty. I needed to hear this. All right. Well, Mo, you also know that there is an abundance of support. I'm not saying that you need us, right? But you've got this community of our success group folks that we're ready, right? We're ready to dive in. So let's do it, right? Wherever you need support, you can reach out anytime. So looking forward to it. All right, Jan, me either. Awesome. And Betty, when it stops being fun, it's time to stop doing it. High five. I love that. Perfect statement. In fact, Betty, I think that's a mic dropper for us. So let's do this. Let's call it a day. I want to let you guys get back into your Saturdays. I do need y'all. Yes, Mo. I know that was a mic drop. Or maybe I should figure out what you're doing wrong. Okay. We're going back to this one, Betty. We're going to leave this as a mic drop. When it stops being fun, it's time to stop doing it. All right. Now, I will ask one more thing of you guys here. Let me know what else you want, right? What other feedback? We can get into specifics. We can go to more mindset stuff. Just let me know what you guys want to hear on Small Business Saturdays here. I've got some things in the works for you for sure. Even have a couple of potential guests joining me in the not too distant future. So stay tuned. Make sure you share this with your friends and other people in the community around you, and see if they get anything out of it. And then we can have more people in the discussion, and we get even better, more depth and more information. So you guys are incredible, amazing, and I appreciate all of you. And I cannot wait to talk to you guys again. The other thing, let me know about the timing of it. I'm going to play with some times here a little bit, but maybe try noon here for just a little bit longer. I got to see what the calendar looks like, but let me know, of those of you that want to tune in live, what the best time is for you as well. Okay. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Saturday, and I will talk to you again very soon.